Good morning. It's Sunday, April 18th, and on Friday, in the midst of an epidemic of gun violence, a young man was found in a New York City subway station with an AK47 and a gas mask. Now, the gun was not loaded, but he did have magazine clips with him. And the amazing thing is that this young man was sitting peacefully on a bench in the subway station with the gun at his side, charging his phone. Now, in New York, nobody would pay much attention to somebody charging their phone. But if they spotted an AK-47 at his side, it might raise an eyebrow or two, and especially in the current gun violence epidemic that's going on in the country, I am sure that people would have reported him. But that's not what happened. It was a transit police officer that spotted the young man and the gun sitting on the bench. And he did have a mask on because he was observing the rules of COVID-19. So he was taken into custody, and it's unclear exactly what he was doing in New York with an unloaded AK-47. It turns out the young man was from Ohio. Ohio was the battleground state, and most of us recognize Ohio because of Jim Jordan in Congress, one of the most outspoken congressmen in the country, an ex-wrestler. A man who never wears a jacket to work. But that's beside the point. The young man said that he was not aware that New York had strict gun laws and that he was not allowed to carry his rifle around in public. After all, he came from Ohio, and Ohio has very lenient carry laws. You can carry a concealed weapon in Ohio. And you don't even need to get a license or anything to buy a gun. So if you come to New York and you're naive, you could think like this young man was thinking. So he thought it was perfectly legal to carry it around as long as it was unloaded. That thinking didn't help him at all. The police took him into custody and took him down to the Transit District No. 1 precinct in Columbus Circle. And later on in the day, when he was being escorted into an NYPD van that was going to take him to court, I guess to be arraigned or whatever, he shouted, "I love you all," to the reporters as they walked him to the van. As of right now, nobody knows exactly why this young man, whose name was Sadiq Teague, and he was a person of color, which probably is a very dangerous thing to be in New York or any place if you have a gun, But in any event, that's what he was. And it's not clear why he was in New York, why he was in the city. So we haven't found that out. And of course, the New York City strap hangers was stunned by the news that someone was armed with an assault rifle in a busy New York City station. This is not just a local little station. This is a big station in Manhattan, in Times Square. So a lot has to be found out about this situation. And New Yorkers, who have seen their share of gun violence, are probably appalled by the fact that a young man could be sitting in a subway station with an AK-47. And there were many New Yorkers said it's not safe anymore. New York is not safe anymore. And I'm sure that our mayor, Bill de Blasio, doesn't want to hear that shit. But this raises a question in my mind. Are we safe any place nowadays with the way the gun violence epidemic is marching through this country? The New York City Police Commissioner, I think his name is Dermot Shea, said this story could have had a tragic ending, except for the action of the diligent cops it ends with a suspect in handcuffs. And I think the police did the right thing. Gun laws or no gun laws, you shouldn't be walking around in New York City with an AK-47 and a magazines in your backpack and a gas mask. What the heck was he carrying a gas mask for? I'll tell you how crazy things are. A couple of hours after this gentleman was picked up in the subway station, a man walked into a motel near JFK about 2:30 in the morning, walked into some woman's room and shot her. No explanation yet about how that happened. And then there was a young girl shot in the Bronx for no reason at all, as far as we know. But guns, the guns are driving me crazy. Every day there's another gun incident. And we are worried about a whole bunch of other things when this gun violence should be right up at the top of our list. Right in there with the pandemic and the infrastructure. And how tough would it be to pass a bill that said AK-47s and anything magazines over 20 or 30 are not allowed? And how tough would it be to make people wait 6 months before they got their gun, even if it was legal or something? That would give everybody plenty of time to check up on these people. And I am not saying that mental illness or anything like that affects the shootings. I think people who are mentally ill have so many other problems that they are not looking for guns to solve their problems. But we, the sane people, are the dangerous ones. And in too many states, we have lenient gun laws. And it's time we really, really, really did something about that. So think about that. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.